your home with BuildAid on Mix 93.8. Proudly brought to you by AfriSam. AfriSam, creating concrete possibilities.
BuildAid on Mix 93.8 FM. Good evening. My name's Graham Alexander. In the studio, as usual, Kay, and we've got Simon back from holiday. Welcome back, Simon.
Thanks.
He hasn't got a mic tonight. Kay, we're also going to be having a bit of fun with, did you say traveling songs?
Yeah, road tripping songs. Everyone's about to go off on a road trip, I'm pretty sure. So we want to put together a little bit of a playlist for any of you out there who are going to be traveling. But before we do that, we've kept James in the studio because we want him to read out the names of people who contributed to his amazing song, Bury My Bones.
Yeah, promoed on the Bish and Fish show about 15 minutes ago. Fantastic stuff. I'm going to be chatting to Paul Arujo from ATI Insulation, chatting about your home getting a bit cool. Remember, winter's around the corner, and how to insulate your ceiling, your roof, and so on. Okay, now a few weeks ago, you came up with this idea that said, listeners, give us your lyrics for a song about Joburg.
Yeah, everyone contributed to names of places or streets that they thought should really be included in a song about Joburg. We got a lot of SMSs. A lot of you were anonymous, and now you'll know why we always ask for your name, because James has only got 20 names to read out, but all of you were amazing contributors, and we're going to thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for your input. And this big thanks goes out to Roy, Rob from Edenvale, Owen, Dan Lurie, Francois, Marilyn, Johan from Midrand, Gazella, Jacques, Lynn Brown, Marion, Stuart, Chantal, Trevor White, Johnny Rockets, Dominic Vering, Steve, Arlekin, Vanessa, and Ian M. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you've certainly made an amazing song, and we're going to play out again with it. So if you missed it earlier on the Bish and Fish show, we're going to break the rules a little bit and play it again for you.
And Kay, most of the ideas that came in, unfortunately, were anonymous.
Yeah, unfortunately, but they're not anonymous because it's all about Joburg, and we all know exactly what those places are.
BuildAid on Mix. I'm chatting to Paul Arujo. We're going to be chatting about insulation. Paul, thanks so much for coming to chat to us.
Thank you very much, Graham. Thank you.
ATI, what does that stand for?
ATI stands for Africa Thermal Insulations. We manufacture products in the insulation industry, namely Alububble, Alutherm, and we are a division of Westrand Engineering who focus on mining products.
Okay. What we're going to be talking about, Paul, is insulating inside of a roof area, just so that everyone's got a heads up and what we can look forward to hearing. And it can be retrofitted, it can be put into a new
Correct.
home, and we're going to go through all of that, including costs and so on. There's some terminology, though, Paul, that we need to understand when it comes to insulation, and I have a couple here that if we could just go through them. When you hear the term radiant heat, what does that mean?
Basically, radiant heat is the transfer of heat from one object to another. So, to put it simply, if you're walking in your lounge past a radiant heater, that heat that you feel coming towards you, that is radiant heat. 93% of summer heat gain is radiant heat, essentially.
And conductive heat?
Conduction is basically the transfer of heat passing through an object. So when you put a cast iron pot on a stove, the handle will get hot, so it's heat passing through the material.
Okay. And convection?
Convection is basically the transfer of heat by air or liquid moving up or down within a space.
There are a couple of terms, without getting too technical, that are used, and people out there, if you're building a new home or you're looking at insulating, you might bump into these two terms, particularly in a new home, and that's an R value and a U value.
Yes.
Architects will know all about it, but just quickly, what is an R value and a U value?
R value is the level of performance of a product. Basically, it's resistance to heat transfer. So it's your resistance to heat, where a U value is basically how well a product will conduct heat through a material. So essentially, architects, they get R values given to them for products. The higher the R value, the better the insulation product, better it can perform.
So like a wooden product would probably be better than a steel product from an R value point of view.
Correct, that's right. Because steel would probably conduct heat a lot more, yes.
And a U value would probably be the other way around.
Correct, it's a reciprocal, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then thermal conductivity. What does that mean?
Well, that's a property of a material to conduct heat. So insulation products really have low thermal conductivity because they essentially are a barrier to heat. Whereas you get metal sheeted objects, they conduct heat. So thermal conductivity is basically the property of a material.
Foil is used in most of your products, reflective foil. What is it made of?
Well, reflective foil is basically a product like alu bubble. It's got a thin foil layer which basically radiant heat back out of your roof space. It basically lowers the temperatures within a building.
We mentioned SANS 10400 XA, which is a regulation brought out a few years ago, essentially to save energy.
Yes.
Obviously, if you're keeping the heat to where it is in a home, you're going to save energy.
Yes, correct. Now, basically, by utilizing less energy for an air conditioning system, for instance, if you can put on your aircon a little bit, the power a little bit less, you wouldn't utilize all that energy, and we basically reducing the carbon footprint. You would need less power to power any equipment needed for aircon.
Okay. It's cost effective and durable. I don't want to talk about the cost right now because I want to do that just now.
Okay.
But it's not something that costs tens of thousands of rands to install.
In
fact, let's chat about the cost now. I've gone and spilt the beans there.
Yeah.
When you gave me some guidelines earlier on that the alu bubble costs between 50 and 60 rands per square meter.
Installed as such, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't, if you want to call it install, we just manufacture the product. But yes, with a subcontractor that can install, you're looking at about 50, 60 rand probably for the alu bubble, plus minus. But it depends on the situation, whether or not it's the roof is accessible. Is there going to be any extras, maybe replacing of timber branderings or, trusses as such? So it depends on the application, but
Sure.
You can approximately use those figures, yeah.
And then the blanket would cost about 150 rands per square meter.
Approximately, because the product is probably half that cost, and half would be the installation. But a lot of these homeowners can save on the blanket, especially retrofitting on top of the ceiling. You could possibly do it yourself.
Yeah.
And save that cost, yes.
Have you guys done the exercise of taking a home without this insulation and a home with it, and how it affects the electricity bill?
There have been exercises done, but a typical example is our warehouse in Krugersdorp, whereby we've got one warehouse that has got alu bubble installed and one that hasn't. And a client actually came past a couple of weeks back, and I wanted to show her that variation. And when she came into the warehouse that didn't have the alu bubble installed, within a few seconds she already said to me, I can't handle this anymore. So it can be proven with that, and it works with residential at the same time. At the end of the day, it does radiate heat back out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, Simon has a box of facts that he shares with us every week.
I don't know if it's so much a box, but yeah.
Or a bag.
A bag.
Or a computer.
Okay, so I always try and sort of theme it on our guest. And did you know that ice makes a brilliant thermal blanket because of its thermal because of its poor thermal conductivity, only if you're living in an igloo.
When you're using a foil, and when you're going to roast a chicken, do you put the shiny side on the outside or the inside?
Well, on the inside, because it reflects more.
There we go.
That radiates back in, yes.
Yeah, you want to cook the chicken,
Exactly.
you don't want to reflect the...
Yeah.
Okay, let's check with Kay on these songs about travel.
Okay, what we want to do tonight is possibly get a list of the 10 best traveling songs. So if you want to contribute to that list, I got a whole bunch of songs that I think are great to drive to. But there are a whole bunch of people who are leaving town either tomorrow or tomorrow night for the long weekend. And we hope everyone drives safely, but we really want you to drive having fun as well and singing along. So send us an SMS on 41348 with your absolute must-have road tripping song.
Paul Arujo, thank you so much for coming to chat to
Thanks
us.
for having me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Paul from ATI. Okay.
And we're going to play out with the song that you all contributed to by naming James, Bury My Bones in Joburg. We hope you enjoy it. Please let us know.
Thanks to Kay, thanks to Simon, and to Ian that films every one of our shows. Remember, we do this every week between 6 and 7. Up next is Adam Ford Cortina and Motoring in the Mix. Chat to you later. Ciao.
Your home with BuildAid on Mix brings you all sorts of interesting info about building. Graham Alexander chats to different guests every Wednesday evening between 6 and 7. Proudly brought to you by AfriSam. AfriSam, creating concrete possibilities.